Hi, and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shape the game. Brought to you by Printworks. They're a great resource when you need screen printing of t-shirts, sweatshirts, or promotional items. Find them on the web at printworksllc.com. I'm Dean Gemmel, and in this edition, we talked with Kevin MacKenzie of Team Ryan/Cotter during the Canada Cup. I apologize in advance for the less than great audio quality. Kevin actually talked to us from the lounge at the event in Kamloops. But stick with it, because we spent a lot of time on subjects like Curl BC and the CCA that I'm sure a lot of curlers will find interesting. Hey, thanks for being on the show, Kevin. You know, you're out at the Canada Cup this week, and it looks like it hasn't exactly been a great few days for your team. What's gone wrong so far?
Not a whole lot. We just feel like we're playing pretty good. We're throwing the rock as good as I think we have or did out in Halifax, and we're just not getting any breaks. The other teams seem to be making shots that are there or shots that aren't even there, that are coming off outside wingers that are and coming in and smelling like roses. So we're really struggling right now. We just can't seem to manufacture any wins.
The Canada Cup this year really strikes me as an event without a reason to exist, sort of, and it seems like it's basically a cash deal run by the CCA, which doesn't seem like the best idea, maybe. Outside of your performance on the ice, what's it been like?
Well, it's a great event. I mean, they do a good job of hosting it. The players are treated really well as far as transportation and food that's provided and everything like that. So it's a great event. I think they almost have to keep it going this year if they want to keep the interest in it for the next 2 or 3 years leading up to the next Olympic trials. I don't know if this is going to be an event where they're giving away a spot into the next trials, then I think they almost had to carry it on this year just for the sake of being consistent in the community here and keeping it in everyone's forefront. If they dropped it for a year or two, then it'd probably be hard to revive it again, come 2008.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just seems without a trial spot at stake, it seems sort of, and it conflicts with a fair number of provincials, so maybe the field isn't what people would expect. It seems a little strange, but I guess you're probably right. If they want to keep some interest in it, maybe they have to have it every year.
Yeah, and so maybe this year is not quite as much on the line as far as the players are concerned. It's just another cash deal, but prize money is still good.
Yeah, the prize money is good, and it's good for the women's side too, I guess. So that's higher for them than usual.
I think the downside from the player standpoint is it seemed to be dragged out over quite a long period. Like we were here on Monday night, and I don't think I've ever been at a cash deal before on a Monday night. So it's a whole week off work basically for anyone who's taking holiday time and stuff. So, we played this morning. We don't play again until tomorrow morning.
Right.
It's like one game a day. I think they maybe could have tried to condense it a little bit.
Compared to that last BDO Canadian Open in Winnipeg, where you had almost back-to-back sometimes, which works better for the players, I think.
Well, yeah, and the fans are tied up for 2 days basically. It's not like if you want to come watch this, you got a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then if you want to come on the weekend, it's 5 straight days of curling. It's almost like going to a bar. I think they could have condensed it a little bit more. Maybe played 4 draws a day instead of 3, and if they're going to start at 8:30 in the morning anyway, there's plenty of time to get 4 draws in. I don't know why we're playing at 8:30 in the morning when there's like 6 hours between draws, I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would have made a lot of sense because some teams are rushing to this event from the provincials, especially on the women's side. So.
Yeah, and anybody who's got to travel anywhere from, say Winnipeg east it's a whole day of travel too to get here and then to get back. So playing a cash flow, you're taking a week off. If off your job, it could be tough on a lot of players. I know quite a few teams that had qualified for this passed on it just basically because of travel and cost of expenses and time away from work. And
see, I guess that's my point. I just don't know if the CCA is all that great at running cash deals. Maybe they better stick to national championships.
Yeah, there's a few things I think the WCT is doing a real good job of at the Grand Slam events anyway. For example, they start 2 games at the away ends, so that for the fans sitting in an arena setting, the 10th ends finish up at both ends of the rink. Which I think is a great way to play in arena events so that the fans that are sitting at the away end, like the odd number ends, they really have a hard time seeing all the action in the 10th end because it's so far away.
Yeah, it's a good idea that they do there.
Yeah, if you have 2 sheets coming towards you, then at least they get to see a couple games finish up in the 10th end, right in front of them.
Well, I guess we need a few more CCA guys taking notes at WCT events.
Well, the rumors we hear from players' standpoint is that the WCT and the CCA are communicating now, and things are patched up from a couple of years ago, and
right,
they're sharing ideas, and maybe that'll lead to better things on both sides.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about your team season. You guys were a runner-up in Bern. I think you surprised some people at the trials by being in the mix right until the last end of the round robin. But a lot of people are going to look at your season in two parts, one with Pat Ryan and one post-trials without him. Since he retired, though, you've qualified at the BDO Canadian Open in Winnipeg, but you failed to advance in BC and you're struggling a bit this week. But first, did you know going into the season that Pat would be hanging him up after the trials, and what has the adjustment to playing without him been like?
We did know a long time ago. We kept it sort of between us because we didn't want to have to deal with all the media buzz going into the trials. People out there would know about it, maybe ask him about it before he even played our first game. So we did keep it sort of under wraps. Pat took a job in Red Deer probably in August. He told us then that after the trials he wasn't interested in commuting back and forth to BC to play in the Playdowns and everything. So he would give it his all through the fall, through the Castfield season and leading up to the trials. And if we won the trials, then he'd keep playing. And if we didn't, then he was quite clear and upfront that he was going to call it a career.
Right.
So at that point, we were actually lucky enough to get our hands on Jeff Richard, who had sort of decided to take a year off from his team and going with his dad and Rick Folk and that, just due to work commitments. He manages a golf course, so they were basically up until the end of October. So he told him he couldn't really do any cash bills in October. He had a few trips planned in November, so he wasn't really capable of committing to any curling until December anyway. So
you picked him up and he slid right in.
Yeah, we just all moved up a little bit, and he slid in at second, and it's been really good. We've known each other for years. Like, Jeff's always been around, and he's a good guy, and we all get along with him good. And we just sort of played our first event 3 days after we got back from Halifax. We won our zone, which was a bit of a shock to us. We weren't really sure what to expect. We figured, we're all decent players. We should be able to gel together, but you never know what's going to happen when you put a new team together for the first time.
Right, and you guys look good in Winnipeg,
Yeah, we played pretty good out there, a couple breaks here and there, and things could have, gone even better for us. So we felt quite confident coming back, going to our interior playdowns, and unfortunately we got there, and the ice was just not really conducive to making any quality or decent shots. It was just a real straight piece of ice on pretty much every sheet, and the range of shots that you're capable of making on ice that doesn't curl is greatly diminished.
Right.
It was just basically a hit fest for 5 or 6 games, and the games we lost were decided on who had the last rock coming home, and fortunately it wasn't us.
Uh-huh.
So, not much we can do. It's hard to steal a point when you can't get around the guard.
So the ice in your playdowns is super straight, a lot different than what you're used to playing.
Well, we go to Catskills all through the fall, and we play on good ice, and the players on the World Curling Tour are all searching out the spiels that they want to play in based on ice conditions. Quite often they'll phone around and say, who's got good ice and good rocks, and that's where we want to go play.
Hey, did they just arrest Kevin Martin?
No, that was an ambulance going by.
Okay.
Maybe he had a heart attack or something.
All right. Hey, let's talk about the BC Playdowns for a second. My question is this: why does it seem like BC still has a format from the 1950s? I mean, am I missing something, or is there no way in except through your zone, regional, interregional way? Is there no way into the provincials except for that?
You're not missing anything. We're the only province in Canada that I'm aware of that doesn't award any bursts to teams that play.
There's no challenge round, there's no points, there's no CRTS stuff or anything like that, right?
Nothing. Nope. You got 4 teams from the interiors and 4 teams from the coast, and the only way to qualify for those is to go through zones. And then the regional.
Wait, is somebody really down out there?
I don't know. This is outside too, and the ambulances keep going by, so I don't know what's
all right.
Anyway, Team Cotter from the curling show.
Does that woman know who you're talking to?
That was my sister.
Oh, your sister Kelly?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, tell her I want to have her on the show sometime.
Okay, I'll give you her phone number.
All right, but it is true. There's no other way in except through the zones and the regions. There's no challenge round and nothing else, right?
No, and it's been really frustrating because we play all fall on good ice conditions and cash bills, and we play good, and then we get in our playdowns and we get to the interiors, and the last 3 years we haven't been able to get through because I don't know. We feel like we're playing good. We just can't make the shots, and these teams that normally that I would like to think we could beat on a regular basis are beating us, and they're beating other teams too. And it's been several years since BC has had the 8 best teams in the province at the provincials.
Right.
I've had guys talk to me over the last couple of years saying, boy, it's tough for you guys haven't got through the provincials, Well, if we were playing in any other province, we'd have been in the provincials the last 3 years in a row without even having to play the zone.
And there's 3 steps, right? It's not just 2 weekends in provincial. There's 3 weekends, isn't it?
You start with your zones, And if you don't win that, then you go to your regional playdowns. And if you get a spot out of there, then you go to the interior or the coast playdowns, depending on where you live. And then you have to get through there just to get to the provincial. And, following the model of pretty much any other province in Canada, if you award a couple spots to your money winners and a spot to your defending champ, then you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to end up with your best teams at your provincials, which then usually determines that you send your best team in the province to the Brier.
Somebody needs to tell the guys at Curl BC that you're not playing in wool sweaters and using corn brooms anymore.
Well, and there has to be a standard set for quality of ice conditions. The last 3 years going back, at least the interior playdowns anyway, have been played in curling clubs that are well known around the province and are notorious for straight ice.
And that's not hard for somebody at the Curl BC to know those clubs and not have something there.
Yeah, and the frustrating point, seeing that from a player standpoint, is these buildings are curling clubs. They're built for curling. The conditions are ideal to make great curling ice. And they can't produce it, which is really frustrating when you go to an event like the BDO in Winnipeg and two ice makers get the arena 36 hours before the event starts, and they have ice in and curl 6 feet in all directions.
Right.
How can they do that in 36 hours in a hockey rink that's built for hockey, not for curling? How can they produce that in 36 hours and you can't have a building that's built for curling with an amount of curl greater than 6 inches?
Well, maybe we'll start a real fired-up message board thing on Curling Zone on this topic.
To most people, it'll sound like I'm, sour grapes because we didn't get through again, but there has to be a change. I mean, you just can't keep doing this. The teams that we have sent to the Brier from BC over the last few years, they aren't well enough prepared going there because we still play our provincials in a curling club. So they step on the ice in the Brier in Calgary or Edmonton in front of 17,000 people on arena ice that curls 4.5 feet. For one thing, they haven't played on that yet this year. So how can we expect them to go out and win their first game if you're not accustomed to the conditions they're playing on?
Your point about some people say sour grapes, whenever I hear people say that, it's the same ice conditions for every team, it's just not true because there's no question that the less curlers in the ice, the less consistent ice is, it narrows the gap between a great team and a lesser team, or a good team and a lesser team, and that's just the reality of it. It just brings a lot more chance into the game and everything else. It doesn't mean that you guys are the best team in BC either. It doesn't really matter how you did. I mean, I don't understand the poor ice conditions for playdowns anywhere.
On the same topic, that's really frustrating too is just the economics of it. I mean, we go into our zone playdowns, we pay a $300 entry fee, and then 3 nights hotels, so it's about a $600 or $700 weekend. And then if you don't win your spot, then you have to go play in your back door and pay another $700 or whatever. And then you win a spot, and they give you a gas allowance to go to the interiors for $26. That's all we got to go to the interiors was $26 for fuel mileage.
Well, gas prices haven't gone up, Kevin. Come on.
So then Bert Gretzinger here goes and gets his spot to provincials, and he gets $40 a night for hotel rooms, which is half of what the host hotel's rate is, and then he gets another $400.
So he's laughing. He's on the gravy train now.
Oh, yeah, he's making money far and clear.
Yeah.
My opinion is we can do away with the zones. We can do away with the regional playdowns. We can host in interiors, charge each team, $750 or $1,000 for an entry fee, and you go and you play and you determine your 4 reps, and then you can give those reps some money to go to provincial split because you've raised it in entry fee money. Any team who's serious about going to the Brier is going to pay $1,000 to be one of the 4 teams that gets to go to provincials.
Right, and some people will say, that's just going to reduce the number of people that go in playdowns, but I don't think that's a bad thing. There's always been people who curl for fun and club curlers, and then there's competitive curlers. And it's not a bad thing if there's fewer club curlers and competitive curling playdowns.
You don't play in the zones just for fun.
Right, there's a good bonspiel to play in.
Yeah, you go in the zones to try to get to the provincials and try to get to the Brier. So if you're serious about being one of the teams that can vie for the BC title and go to the Brier, you're going to pay whatever it costs to go to the interiors. But the problem is we'll pay whatever it costs to go play, but there's got to be something coming back in return. In our zone alone, there was 4 teams. We each paid $300 in entry fees, and the winner got $26. So where's the other $1,175 go?
Wasn't there a chicken dinner?
No.
No chicken dinner?
The volunteers committee's wives, I think, made egg salad sandwiches for us on the Saturday.
Okay.
And they were good.
While we're teeing off on Curl BC, I want to ask you one thing. I heard an ugly rumor from the trials that the teams that didn't advance to the playoffs didn't have their rooms covered by the CCA through the weekend. Is that a true thing, or is that just somebody else trying to stir up bad PR for the CCA?
No, that was in the player's guide, actually, that we got when we got our spot, that the hotel rooms for all teams would be covered as long as you were active in the event.
So when you guys were out after the round robin, you had no hotel rooms covered.
I can't actually comment on that for two reasons. One, the rooms were secured under Pat's credit card for incidentals and stuff throughout the week. So I really don't know if he got a bill at the end of the week for our extra 2 nights or not. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But
so I can't clear up that room. I'll have to ask somebody else.
I can't clear it for sure, but I can tell you that it did say in the player's guide that the rooms were only covered as long as you were active in the event.
That's ridiculous.
So,
but anyways, it seems pretty
there
ridiculous.
Was no closing ceremony or anything, so.
I know there wasn't a closing ceremony, but, let's face it, players are part of the attraction at an event. If you wanted to stay till Sunday, I think that could have been extended.
Yep.
So, okay, Kevin, hey, we covered a lot here. I want to hit you with the Runback segment, okay? I give you a topic. You give me your thoughts in 2 or 3 words.
Okay.
Okay, favorite city to curl in?
Winnipeg.
Olympic sport you'll watch when the curling isn't on?
Hockey.
Teflon or steel?
Steel.
Most annoying thing you've seen a curler on an opposing team do?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably leave handprints or knee prints on the ice. That gets under my skin.
All right, funniest curler on tour?
Ooh, John Meade.
All right. Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate your time, appreciate your honesty, and good luck in the other events you're in this year.
Okay, thanks a lot.
That's Kevin MacKenzie on The Curling Show, brought to you by the screen printing pros at Printworks. Thanks for listening. Here's Black Pudding.